Dostoevsky's The Idiot is often praised as one of his greatest novels, not that he really has bad ones. And most people, including my favorite YouTubers and critics, focus on the main character, the epileptic saintly Prince Myshkin. But I found the fallen woman Nastasia Filipovna to be way more interesting. Let me explain. The book starts with Lev Nikolaevich Myshkin arriving by train to St. Petersburg. He is seated across from another man his age, Rogozhin. Rogozhin is coming home to inherit his father's estate. He tells Myshkin he's infatuated with this stunning young woman, Nastasia Filipovna, and now that he's filthy rich, he plans to marry her. Myshkin, by contrast, has no wealth and is visiting the only family he has, the Epanchins. The Epanchins are not exactly his family. He has a very distant connection with the mother, but even that is flimsy at best. Now, who's Nastasia? Nastasia is the orphan daughter of Philip, a retired army officer. She was taken in by her neighboring landowner, an older, wealthy man by the name of Afanasy Ivanovich Totsky when she was little. Totsky himself never spent any time with her, staying abroad for most of her childhood, so she definitely lacked a parental figure growing up, let alone two. She was raised by one of his stewards, and when she was about 12 or 13, Totsky saw her for the first time in a long while and recognized that she had the, quote, markings of a great beauty, end quote. You can probably guess where this is going now. She was then put under special care, taught sophisticated education, and 4 years later, when she turned 16, she was conveniently adopted by another wealthy landowner. Nastasia was lodged in a remote, albeit comfortable cabin, just out of sight and just within reach of Totsky. Totsky would usually drop in for months. Their unholy relationship lasted for 4 years until rumors spread across St. Petersburg. Totsky decided to get rid of his shameful relationship with his now 20-year-old woman. He arranged her young lover to marry Ganya, another man more proper for her age. It reminded me of 2 Samuel 13 from the Bible. Tamar, a young princess, is violated by her brother and then discarded. She begs him not to throw her away because that's exactly what it felt like to her. Not just used, but tossed aside like something shameful. She says, "This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me." It has to feel so much worse to be thrown away. The first act violated her autonomy, her personhood, her purity, but the second shredded the very essence of her self-worth. Not even the worst kind of people wanted her anymore. That takes us to the current drama. Who will marry this fallen woman? The first eligible bachelor is, of course, our new money Rogozhin. To remind you, he's head over heels for this woman. The second option is Ganya. He's the heir to a declining estate and needs the dowry money promised by Totsky to rescue it. He is the more educated and respectable of the two, but his incentive is purely monetary. The marriage with Ganya is deemed more attractive to Totsky, and together with General Panchin, the husband of Myshkin's distant relative, they plan to arrange the marriage between these two. Nastasia of course didn't like this, so she announced that she will say who she will marry at her birthday party. At this party enters another contender, our main hero, Lev Myshkin. He has not a penny to his name, but is also not looking for the dowry. He looked at the portrait of Nastasia from Ganya and invited himself to her birthday party because she looked sad in the portrait. The only thing going for him is that he is very likable and everybody in her circle just adores him. Nastasia asked Myshkin if she should marry Ganya, to which our prince answered no, because she nor he loved one another. Before this, Rogozhin tried to buy Nastasia from Ganya by just offering the dowry money so that in turn Ganya would not agree to the marriage. Then Rogozhin enters the party with his 100,000 rubles matching the dowry, further insulting Ganya. Keep in mind that this is worth just shy of $5 million today. When Nastasia went to live with Rogozhin, Myshkin asked her not to marry Rogozhin, but him. You see, from Nastasia's point of view, it's either being thrown away like trash to Ganya or be bought by Rogozhin and be his gold digger. She really doesn't love Rogozhin after all. This marriage offer deeply moves Nastasia, as Myshkin was a respected man with a gentle heart and comes with no additional baggage. He vows that he would live with her, even if it meant living in poverty. This was her out. Only with Myshkin could she regain her dignity, plus he's the only person that genuinely cares about her. The only unconditional love she had ever received in her entire life. Then, a letter arrives from Moscow, shattering her fears about an honest marriage. It informed the partygoers that Myshkin is not a pauper at all. Another wealthy distant relative of Myshkin has died, and the only living male heir they found was Myshkin. So, in mere seconds, he is now a multi-millionaire. This is not a plot of a K-drama, I swear. So, in Nastasia's eyes, the situation turned into sort of like the riddle with the cabbage, goat, and wolf. If you take the wolf away, the goat eats the cabbage. If you move the cabbage away, the wolf eats the goat. She would be condemning Myshkin, a gentle, respected, and now absurdly wealthy man, to a marriage with a woman she herself sees as fallen. If she chose Rogozhin, she would also be condemning herself to a marriage with that unstable primal man. So, she has to choose to either punish herself or punish Myshkin, between shame and guilt. She chose the former, and thus concludes part 1 of the novel. What makes romantic relationships work? What is love made of? According to American psychologist Robert Sternberg, love has 3 phases. Intimacy, as in emotional connection, trust, and passion, as in physical attraction, sexual desire, and lastly, commitment, being determined to be together, to have a future plan together. They form a consummate or complete love. It is what is needed for a healthy romantic relationship. Rogozhin clearly has passion for her. He is simply infatuated with her, but has neither intimacy with her, nor has he any real plans after getting her. She feels no connection to him and doesn't know when he will get bored of her like Trotsky did. Ganya has everything planned. He had the commitment down. He could swallow any pill if his financial situation is saved, but he neither has intimacy nor passion for Nastasia. She would be bound in a loveless marriage if she chose him. Myshkin has infinite intimate compassion and kindness for Nastasia. He sadly has no passion, nor does he have any real plans after fixing her. Not only does she think she would be doing him a disservice, to the only person who doesn't judge her, she would be with a man who isn't attracted to her, like marrying your best friend who doesn't like you that way. And God only knows if it lasts. This unholy trinity is the only choice Nastasia has. None of these men can provide the full package, so to speak. In part 2, there are rumors that she is bouncing between Myshkin and Rogozhin quite a lot. She would one day show up at Myshkin's door, saying she ran away from Rogozhin, and another day gets up and leaves because she's going to marry Rogozhin. This repeats many times in the 6 months Myshkin is away in Moscow, managing all the paperwork for the giant inheritance he got. Part 2 doesn't follow her closely, but she's still there, in rumors, in letters, in the way people say her name like it's dirty. Chief among them is Lizaveta Yepanchin, the very distant relative of Myshkin. She says that Nastasia's actions are in no way proper, even for someone like her, as in someone used and discarded. This view is shared by almost everyone, save for only Myshkin. It becomes very clear that Nastasia's hatred for herself is shared by the people that surround her too. In part 3, there has been some developments between Aglaya, the youngest daughter of General Yepanchin, and Myshkin. Aglaya develops a crush on him and he sees her clever and attractive. Yet, Myshkin is not alone in this. Nastasia also thinks Aglaya is clever and attractive. And unlike her, she's also pure and innocent. The perfect bride for her perfect groom. She wants to get rid of this dilemma of hers. She wants Myshkin taken for good, out of the equation, so she may finally rest. There is nobody worthy of Myshkin's affection other than Aglaya in Nastasia's eyes. Nastasia doesn't deserve him, but he offers himself regardless. This also makes her worried. A perfect man is wasting his potential trying to be her rebound. She figures that if he go back on his offer, she may get rid of her guilt and regrets of missed opportunity. So, she has been writing letters to Aglaya, pleading her to marry Myshkin. Aglaya interprets this as Nastasia still having feelings for him, which is kinda true. In part 4, Aglaya and Myshkin gets engaged but still holds off on marriage because of the unsolved business with Nastasia. This weird love rectangle continues for so long it gets kind of annoying, so they set up a meeting, 4 of them: Rogozhin, Nastasia, Myshkin, and Aglaya. This is one of the highlights of the book. Nastasia invites the newly engaged couple to a remote timber house. Rogozhin opens the door, lets them in, and closes it from the inside. The air fills with open hostility after a few passive-aggressive remarks on the account of the two ladies escalating. It becomes very clear that these two detest each other. Aglaya mentions that she came to fight. The book says, quote, "It seemed that there was no power on earth which could have resisted the venomous, truly feminine contempt for the woman opposite." End quote. Also, Aglaya has this to say to Nastasia, quote, "You couldn't have fallen in love with him. You made him suffer, and then you left him. You couldn't love him because you are too proud. No, not proud. My mistake. Because you are vain. Perhaps even not that. You are selfish to the point of insanity, and your letters addressed to me are proof enough of that. You could never have fallen in love with him, simple as he is. And perhaps deep down you even hated and mocked him. The only thing you could love was your own infamy and the ever-present realization that you had been disgraced and insulted. Had you less infamy to contend with, or none at all, you would have been more unhappy." Aglaya then berates her for writing these letters to her. She also accuses her of doing all of this performatively to make her feel like she's making some noble sacrifice. This is what the best of people think of Nastasia. If Aglaya, one of the most clever and observant people Nastasia knew, holds her in this light, who knows what the rest think of her? You think the words uttered by her are cruel. What do you think about the unspoken words of people worse than her? The berating doesn't end there. Aglaya goes on and on about if she really is that sincere, why she didn't just leave Totsky. Nastasia has been patient with her until this. "What do you know about my circumstances that you have the right to judge me?" she snapped back. Aglaya kept on digging deeper, meaner, and somehow channeled all that feminine contempt into the vilest words Nastasia could have ever heard. Myshkin begged Aglaya to stop, but she couldn't be stopped. The reason for this visit was for Aglaya to see and prove that Myshkin only loves her and her only, and Nastasia knew it. She boasted that Myshkin vowed to marry her if she wanted. She could just command him on the spot to take her as his wife, and by God he would do that in a heartbeat. Deeply hurt by Aglaya's pointy words, Nastasia then pleaded to Myshkin to uphold his promise, to marry her in a desperate sobbing cry, and if he doesn't come to her arms, Aglaya can have him. Myshkin's hesitance and bewilderment in this situation angered Aglaya so much that she got up and stormed out. Any man would have sided with his fiancée and defend her honor, but this isn't any man we're talking. This is, to quote, an idiot. He motioned to get up as well, but Nastasia embraced him from behind, desperately asking, Are you really gonna follow her?" and fainted shortly after. The two of them stayed right they were as Rogozhin and Aglaya left the house. 2 weeks later, wedding bells ring as the most infamous couple of St. Petersburg marry. The groom apparently played with the feelings of a generous daughter and even promised to marry her, but insulted her to no end after just abandoning her for his mistress. The new bride is a fallen woman who apparently seduced 2 wealthy men before, and this is just the third. Even Yevgeny Pavlovich, a reasonable and kind man, has this to say about her, quote, "A woman like that was once pardoned in the house of God, but she was not told that she did right, that she was worthy of all manner of praise and respect." End quote. Of course he is right. It is not like she did anything noble with the business with Totsky. It is also not her fault. But that is all beside the point. Whose fault is it, or if she did the morally right thing, is of no consequence. Nobody in the whole city didn't care an inkling about how she felt, except Myshkin. A society so full of righteousness but lacking empathy. In my opinion, that is what is so corrupt about the St. Petersburg society, not the greed, ambition, and pretentiousness of young people. The higher circle people think that this is just the point Myshkin is making by deliberately marrying a fallen woman and ditching the pure and innocent Aglaya. This must be his feminist show of marrying not a fallen but an emancipated woman to prove her worth, especially compared to the traditional and respected alternative. That must be it. There is no other reason why Myshkin would do such a thing. Nastasia didn't win that conflict with Aglaya. This is not a triumph, but a surrender. You start the book thinking, she's the problem. You get here and realize she never had a way out. To be truthful, there was no winning option for her. She was dealt a bad hand and is just folding now. Let's review her options again. She could have chosen Rogozhin instead, but that is not what she wants. He is an impulsive and honestly a creepy fellow who is just obsessed with her. She doesn't love him back and he knows it. Sooner or later, she knows that Rogozhin will just throw her away after he's done using her, like Totsky did. At the wedding, she was at least hoping to see Aglaya's defeated face, but she was nowhere to be found. There were just men screaming and hollering at her beauty, and other people whispering about how they are planning to ruin the wedding by shouting indecent words at her. She locks herself in a room and let only Myshkin enter. The only words outsiders heard was Nastasia saying, quote, "What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing to you?" repeatedly. End quote. Hours before the wedding, Nastasia recognized Rogozhin's eyes glinting at her from the massive crowd. She suddenly runs to him screaming, "Rescue me! Take me away! No matter where! Now!" They both hastily got on a train to Rogozhin's home, leaving Myshkin at the altar. Myshkin later visits Rogozhin to check up on Nastasia, and Rogozhin shows him her cold corpse. Myshkin gets fully delirious, has a mental episode as he fell on the ground. His body thumping on the floor alerted Rogozhin's servants and they called the police. Rogozhin went to jail and Myshkin back to the sanitarium in Switzerland as his epilepsy has become worse than ever. Why did she run? She knew who Rogozhin was and what he might do. Didn't she have everything? A husband, money, love, everything. Except the feeling of being wanted. She wants to be wanted. Myshkin declares love for everyone, but not once in this novel he wanted anyone. And romantic love is exclusive for just one. Just one sign of desire and want in Myshkin would have prevented everything. He could have just chosen a woman and desired her, then all of this would not have happened. He should have been angry with Rogozhin for taking his bride and murdering her. He should have hit Rogozhin, even just once. He should have chased after them in hot white rage to St. Petersburg. He should have run after Aglaya when she stormed off. He shouldn't have let Nastasia go in Moscow. He should have held her hand and begged her not to leave. I doubt Myshkin to have made love to Nastasia, even kissed her on the lips. He doesn't want Nastasia and is awfully, cruelly kind to her. She needed someone that respects her and lends her the dignity she deserves. And yet, she wants someone to be madly in love with her, wants her, and desires her. That is Myshkin's fatal moral flaw, not having one. But these two men are not the only people that were unkind to her. Everyone knows that she was violated by the old man Totsky. We as a society are too harsh on victims. When an abused dog is aggressive and bites the hand that wants to feed it, we understand what the dog has been through and has compassion for it. But when a human does it, we think, she's been through a lot, but that's not the way to act. This is exactly the attitude we have towards victims of sexual abuse. If only someone welcomed her with open arms, might she stop hating herself. But she was treated as a pariah, and when she lashes out, she is isolated even more. And because of that, she falls for the first person to show her any dignity and respect, even when that person is an epileptic idiot. I know many Nastasias in my life. That is when I read this novel, she felt human, almost too human. This is why she is my favorite fictional character among many great works. I think Dostoevsky probably knew a few Nastasias too, and by misfortune, you also probably know a few. I want you to, I need you to, I beg you to lend them some dignity, even if you don't think they deserve it. They might just earn it. I have plenty more ideas for readers like this, and if this one left an impression on you, please share that with me down in the comment section. These videos are fueled by my emotions, and you can support that by subscribing and leaving a like. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you won't miss any future uploads. Anyways, take care. I'll be back.